Tonight, you might order shrimp. You'll peel it, dip it in sauce, and eat it without a second thought. And right now, somewhere in your kitchen, a cockroach might be doing something almost identical to what that shrimp was doing an hour ago. Scavenging, eating scraps, surviving off whatever it can find. Here's the part nobody tells you. Zoom in close enough, and a shrimp doesn't look like a fish at all. It looks like an armored insect. Legs, antennae, a segmented shell. You'd assume the difference between your dinner and your nightmare comes down to cleanliness, or danger, or just taste. It doesn't. Scientists have a name for what's actually happening in your brain when you make that call. It's the disgust response, and psychologist Paul Rozin spent decades mapping exactly how it works. Start with the body. Biologically, a shrimp is a crustacean, and a cockroach is an insect. But both belong to the same larger group, the arthropods, animals with exoskeletons, jointed legs, and segmented bodies. And in 2010, researchers led by Jerome Regier published a genetic study in Nature that reshaped the family tree. Their analysis suggested insects didn't evolve on a separate branch from crustaceans at all. Insects likely evolved from something crustacean-like, which means the roach on your kitchen floor and the shrimp on your plate share a deeper, common ancestry than either shares with a fish. Sit with that. The animal you're afraid to look at and the animal you're excited to eat are closer cousins than you and a goldfish. So what wrecked the shrimp's reputation as basically a bug? Marketing did. Picture a fish market 300 years ago. Nobody was selling shrimp as sea insects. They were sold whole, wrapped in butter, priced as a delicacy. Roaches, meanwhile, were showing up somewhere very different. Not oceans, but sewers. Not dinner tables, but garbage. And that difference in address changed everything about how we'd eventually feel about them. Because the behavior isn't far apart at all. Wild shrimp are scavengers. They eat algae, dead organic matter, and decaying material off the seafloor. The same basic survival strategy a roach runs inside your walls. So the disgust isn't really about what they eat. It's about where we picture them eating it. Two near identical creatures. Same biology, same diet, same instincts. One lives in the open ocean, the other in your bathroom. Your brain assigns danger by proximity, not biology. This is where Rozin's work becomes essential. In 1987, Rozin and psychologist April Fallon published a paper in Psychological Review arguing something that rewired how psychologists understood food rejection. Disgust isn't primarily about taste. It's about contamination. Your brain isn't asking, will this taste bad? It's asking, will this make me sick or mark me as unclean? And that question gets answered mostly by culture, not chemistry. The experiments make it undeniable. Rozin found people would refuse to drink juice that had merely touched a fully sterilized dead cockroach, even after being told clearly that it was harmless and scientifically clean. Logic said, drink it. Disgust said, no. Once your mind attaches the idea of contamination to something, facts don't erase it. And it wasn't just juice. People refused soup stirred with a brand new comb, or a brand new fly swatter, still sealed in its packaging. Never used, never dirty. Still rejected. Because the brain isn't reacting to the object. It's reacting to the category the object belongs to. Once something is filed under contaminant, it stays there no matter what you're told. Then comes the twist that breaks the whole illusion. Around 2 billion people eat insects regularly. A 2013 report from the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization counted more than 1,900 insect species eaten as food worldwide. Crickets in Thailand, ants in parts of Mexico, grasshoppers in Uganda, mealworms sold in Dutch supermarkets as sustainable protein. To someone raised eating crickets, your shrimp cocktail looks exactly as strange as a roach looks to you, which tells you the reaction isn't hardwired. It's installed like software, somewhere between the ages of 2 and 7. A toddler doesn't know a cockroach is gross. It just sees a small moving thing, more curious than repulsed. Then a parent flinches. A sibling screams. A cartoon villain has roaches crawling over him in a horror scene. And the brain quietly files a rule. This equals danger. By adulthood, that rule feels like instinct. It was installed, not born. Shrimp got the opposite installation. Butter, white tablecloths, weddings, elegant photos in white bowls. Same biological category, completely different emotional programming. And the shrimp industry did that on purpose. It removed the legs before the plate reached you. It handed shrimp fancier names in fine dining. Prawns, scampi, langoustine. It photographed shrimp gliding through clear blue water, never crawling across decaying matter on the seafloor, even though that's exactly what many of them do. The cockroach got the reverse. No marketing team, no rebrand, just decades of horror films, health inspector warnings, and late-night pest control adverts. The roach never had a publicist. The shrimp did. And this isn't only about bugs and crustaceans, it's about every animal you've ever refused to eat. In much of the world, dogs are family, sleeping on beds, getting birthdays. In parts of Vietnam and China, dog meat has historically been eaten, especially in colder months. Cows, worshipped and protected as sacred across much of Hindu India, are raised specifically for slaughter in the United States and ground into billions of burgers a year. Neither culture is right or wrong about the animal. The cow didn't change. The dog didn't change. The story around them did. So sit with the question. If a roach could live underwater in coral reefs, and a shrimp could survive in your kitchen walls, would you have grown up eating one and screaming at the other? Or would the story simply have flipped? And here's a wrinkle in the shrimp story itself. Shrimp isn't universally accepted either. In Jewish dietary law, seafood must have both fins and scales to be kosher. Shrimp has neither and is forbidden outright, right alongside lobster and crab. In Islamic law, most schools classify shrimp as halal since it lives in water, though the wider debate over shellfish has run among scholars for centuries. So even the food we've spent this whole time calling universally acceptable isn't universal. To over 1 billion people, a plate of shrimp is exactly as forbidden as a plate of cockroach would be to you. Their stomach turns at a shrimp cocktail the same way yours turns at a fried cricket. Same reflex, same wiring, different installation. There's an even sharper irony underneath. Shellfish, shrimp included, is one of the most common adult food allergies. Severe enough for millions of people to require emergency treatment. Insect protein, meanwhile, has been proposed by some food scientists as a potentially lower allergy risk option for the future, which means the safe, elegant food might quietly be more dangerous to your body than the one your mind files as filth. Your gut reaction and your actual biology don't always agree. Zoom out, and every food rule you've ever followed was built the same way. Not from pure logic, not from pure safety, from a mix of geography, religion, marketing, and whatever happened to disgust the people around you when you were small. Anthropologist Marvin Harris spent much of his career on exactly this. Why societies eat completely different animals, even when nutrition and taste don't explain the gap. Through the 1970s and 80s, he argued that food taboos often trace back to practical survival logic from centuries earlier. Logic that outlived its original purpose. Pigs, for instance, were labeled unclean in parts of the hot, arid Middle East, partly because they competed with humans for shade, water, and food, while returning little compared with goats or sheep. The rule made sense once. Then it hardened into cultural and religious law that still shapes what billions eat today, long after the original reason vanished. Which means some of your own food rules might be fossils. Leftover logic from a world that no longer exists, still running quietly in the background of your mind. Imagine you'd been born in a different country, into a different kitchen, with different smells coming off the stove each evening. In that life, salted fried grasshoppers might be the snack sold outside your school. Crunchy, ordinary, completely normal. And the animal you currently love might be the one that makes people flinch. Same brain, same species. A completely different map of disgust, drawn almost entirely by geography. That's the strange truth of it. An entire species can be branded unclean, not because of what it does to your body, but because of what it once did to your ancestors' economy. You inherited the verdict generations later without ever seeing the evidence. So the next time your stomach turns at a cockroach, or you order shrimp without a flicker of thought, remember this. You didn't choose that reaction. You inherited it. Somewhere there was a version of you that looked at both creatures with the same blank curiosity and didn't yet know which one was food and which one was filth. Someone else decided that for you, and you've been living by that decision ever since.